Oh yeah, it does. It becomes a little bit more real, right? Because where the rockets hit in central Kiev, we just drove by there yesterday. Yeah. So you
not just drove, we spent time there.
Well, yeah, we spent time. That's the thing here. People are trying to live their lives, and as we were talking and walking there, we're seeing people going into shops, going into KFC, going into places, and they're trying to live their life. And all of a sudden, within a moment, rockets touch down where a lot of civilians are. And it just shakes up everyone's, I don't know, that stability that people have gotten a little bit more. They're trying to build a life. We're taking people to parks, because you can see even in the videos that we've seen this morning, the rocket that hit, it's a large crater right beside a playground. So we're even driving beside a park right here, and people are just trying to live their life, but they continue to get interrupted and continue to get terrorized by these random attacks from Russia.
Why were we in Kiev on that day?
We were in Kiev that day because we were leaving the team and beginning to head out east into the conflict zones, in addition to meeting some of the partners that we had worked with to purchase some supplies and encourage them. And so we decided to stop in there just because that was the first time since the war started that I had been in the center of Kiev as well. And we were, in addition to that, our friends of ours that have also been contributing to the relief effort in the war, who stayed during the entire time, live in and around Kiev. And so that's what actually brought us there, was to stay the night and then to carry on the following day to our partners were in the east side in the Kharkiv region. We're in a position here that, we have a pretty massive network of people. That's partial decision of why we're staying here. It's like, how can we leave when we're set up in such a position to help so many people? So when Mary woke up this morning, that the fighting had already started.
I called the orphanage director. They were just trying to get out because there was explosions happening very close.
Yes, there's times we break down and then, okay, we got to pick up and we got to go.
Yeah. The hearts are just breaking for all the people in Ukraine, because people have been fighting for this freedom for so long. And I feel so honored that we can be doing what we can. This is the least we can do.
Я не буду, він задом заїде. Ні?
То він тут, а прям стає, Мері.
От я знав, я тут стану, що вам зробити.
Вперед, став вперед.
Це наш колега.
Mostly what we're concentrating now on is purchasing food supplies. Because we have been in Ukraine for so many years, and we've developed a lot of partnerships in the eastern regions of Ukraine, and then with the churches, we have a lot of requests for food supplies, because the war is pretty intense in the rest of Ukraine in comparison to we live in peace here. So we've been heavily concentrated on purchasing as many food supplies as possible.
There goes the tank right there.
Oh, there goes the tank. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. So we have a team of people that they go to warehouses or the stores and purchase supplies.
This is a completely unique response for us. We've never really been in a position where we buy large amounts of food and distribute it ourselves through our network. But because of the situation we were in, we had the unique ability to mount a significant response in Ukraine.
When Russia invaded Ukraine, Chilliwack-based Hungry for Life International sprang into action, using their local knowledge, network, and team in Ukraine to provide humanitarian aid to those directly impacted by the war. The Hungry for Life team, led by Chilliwack's own Chad Martz and his wife Mary, a Ukrainian national, has already provided food and shelter to thousands of people there.
Typically, we connect donor groups to groups from here, churches and groups from Canada, to projects around the world, and we facilitate that relationship. And we're kind of more in the background as an organization, as a facilitator. But because of our unique position in Ukraine, where our staff, where our almost 20 years history of working there and relationships that existed before that, Hungry for Life was in such just a unique position to be directly acquiring and distributing aid all over the country when the war broke out, and as we had distribution channels made available to us. So this is a completely unique response for us.
We were given a generous donation that HFL could utilize to be able to send the staff to Ukraine. So we saw it as a really, really good opportunity for the staff to see firsthand what they were a part of for so many months beforehand. There hadn't been any major attacks in the country, and so we felt that we could safely get them to some of the areas that had been impacted and to bless people there. So one of the main reasons for HFL to do that is so that staff had the opportunity to see such a significant event and project that we had all been a part of, and how their contribution and their work contributed to what was taking place on the ground in Ukraine. So the team put together food and hygiene hampers and went and visited a few different villages and people to distribute to them. But not just that, but to spend time with people, to hear their stories, and not for the sake of hearing their stories, but for the sake of almost sharing the burden in the way by spending time with them.
When HFL started 20 years ago, based on our model, based on how we wanted to work with international partners and be a facilitator between groups here and groups in developing countries, we knew that to be in the middle of that, we would need to be funded differently, because people would always ask, how do you pay your bills here? What percentage do you take? How much is it going to cost us to have this impact in some part of the world? And so we needed to be funded differently. So we made the commitment that 100% of the funds people give to projects will go to the projects. And we do that, and we raise funds separately for our overhead, and we raise funds separately for our staff salaries. And we've made that commitment since the beginning, and we've been able to stick to it for 20 years, and we've grown. And people said, there's no way you could fund an organization like that 20 years ago. But we have, and God's been faithful. We've been able to make that commitment and stick to it, and it's resulted in people to say, wow, I get to have 100% of the funds that I'm going to give to the organization is going to have the impact in the field, and that's created lots of growth and momentum, and people trust us because of that commitment. And so when the response to the Ukraine project was so massive, we in some senses, a traditional emergency response organization, when a big emergency happens in the world, that's when they make a lot of money. That's when their overhead and their operations gets an extra boost of funding because they didn't anticipate a war or a disaster. But we stuck to that commitment, and we said 100% of the funds going to Ukraine will go to Ukraine. And that made a huge difference.
When the war hit in February of 2022, it was devastating, I think, to the population of the world, around the world. And of course, because we had projects in Ukraine, we were deeply concerned about what was happening there. And also because we had Chad and Mary and their family, and many of the staff at Hungary had connections with them. It was really, it hit a little closer to home than somebody just watching it on the news. And so the reports that came back, it suddenly became very personal and very intimate to us as people, and especially at Hungary. And so when the offer came to go to Ukraine and as staff members to go and see what we were doing, it was a little bit nerve-wracking at first, because you're going into a country that's at war, and yet you have a love for the people there, and you want to help. So for me, it wasn't a question of not wanting to go. It was a question of allaying the fears of people back home for us going. But I felt very much the purpose for us to go was to encourage the people that are going through very, very hard times, and to share the love of God, and to let them know that they're not alone. I don't think we went in with the idea to fix things, because we cannot. And we don't know how to take on their burdens, because frankly we cannot. But we can go there and we can say, we're here for you, and to show up and to encourage them for me was probably one of the reasons why I went.
I just want to give you a background of the place we will be going in Bucha. It's a church, and the history behind is when Russian soldiers occupied that town, they would kill civilians. Like the lady would be driving on the bike, and they just shot her, nothing, and those bodies would lay for 2 weeks, and they would not allow anybody to go pick them up or bury them or anything. So one priest, which we might even see him today, from this church, during this time he was going back with some doctors and trying to negotiate with the soldiers. And then the doctor came and he was saying how bad it is, that it's 2 weeks already, the bodies are starting to, it's getting warmer. And so after 2 weeks, they allow them to come and collect these bodies. So that was the first mass grave. That's the place we will go to. We'll go to this site just to see it, and then we will go inside of the church, and there is a display of all this stuff, just so you have a concept of what it is.
when you go through an intense situations like that, there are a lot of things that you can't really process in the moment. It's so it's just so emotionally traumatic to you, even as a bystander, that you don't process it. But probably, I think the one visit we did was to just an ordinary elderly man and his wife, and we were bringing supplies to them, and we walked into their home. It was a very simple home, very basic, and at the back they had a little kind of a garage, but also like a workroom where they were dehydrating food and canning food. It was almost like a secondary kitchen, but it was just a beautiful afternoon. The sun was setting down a little peaceful street in a small village, and beautiful farmlands everywhere, and surrounded by trees. It was almost picturesque. And then we sat down and we had a simple meal. One of the Ukrainian team got some stuff together and fixed us a meal, and we sat outside and chatted, and it was so serene. And yet, as many of them did at the time, which was probably very healing for them, he shared a story with us about how he had heard that the Russians were coming, and so he warned his neighbors and to shelter in place. And obviously the Russians did come through and did some pretty horrific things to his village, which will forever be, part of my memory. But I think the most amazing thing was just this ordinary man, I think he said he was 73 and his wife was 72, realized the trauma that had happened to his village. And so after the Russians left, he walked to every house and said, come to my home on Sunday and we will just get together and encourage one another. And he didn't know what he was going to do. And he thought maybe, one or two would come. But to his surprise, everybody showed up. Every single person in the village showed up at his home. And he didn't know what to do, so he read scripture and they sang a few hymns and they prayed together. And out of that, this elderly man and his wife began a church to minister to people. And he just saw people that were hurting and was willing to say, yes, Lord, here I am. And he took care of a flock and became a shepherd. I mean, you do tend to remember the ugly things, but I try to focus on some amazing things that are happening there that God is using and He's working through. And these are just these few little stories that I encountered 10 days in the country. And I know there's a lot more than that. I know that because God is bigger than what we could ever imagine.
At one point, we ran into a lady who was just sitting on the side of the road selling flowers, and she was right in front of her own home, and all we could see at first was the fence, and it was full of bullet holes or shrapnel holes. And then she took us into her property and showed us that her house had been completely bombed out and where she had stayed during that time. She told us the story of her son who had left just to get food or diesel or something and never came back. And I think just hearing, her reality of just being the one left behind and the amount of loss she had was really put into perspective how much different families are going through and how much everything piles on top of each other. Like, losing a family member is one thing, and then you lose your home that that person built for you. And so you lose the memories you had with them. And then you lose another person, and you lose, like, it just accumulates and accumulates until it's like hard to imagine living with that much weight.
It's a lot to take in for the first time. As you're processing either numbers, or you're receiving phone calls, or you're answering questions, or you're doing interviews here in the office, and they were hearing from Mary and myself about what was going on, but you can't compare that to what they were going to see and be able to hear firsthand. So yeah, the team did very well. They're an amazing blessing to our partners. They were a blessing to the people that were there. So it's kind of hard to answer a little bit on how they did. They did good, but there's a lot to unpack for them while they were there and when they came back home, just to see firsthand the atrocities that people have gone through and what they're having to live through to this day.
Preparing to go home, for me, I almost felt guilty. You know, I can understand how you feel like there's so much to be done here and there's so much work to do, and we're leaving it with people who are exhausted and traumatized. And I wonder, even Misha said, he wonders if people even realize how traumatized they are. But I think for me, I had to make peace with the fact that I am not the savior of the world. God is. And as needs, you know, He will bring people to do what He wants to be done there. And that my role right now is to come back here to Hungary, even though it's not, you know, I'm not up front and doing all the, you know, what I always call the sexy stuff, right? And, you know, I'm not traveling and going to countries and stuff like that, but I'm just here as a support to make sure things run smoothly, and that everything we do at Hungary is well done, that we are a highly professional organization, that we do our things with integrity and professionalism, because those are the underpinnings of a successful organization. And so for me, it's important that that's my role, and I do that.
So we didn't have any instances. I think there were a few air sirens right when we first arrived, but there was no instances when the team was there. And that was the first half of like my own personal trip with Mary and TJ, as we were going to head out east into the more recently liberated area of the country. And so the team was heading back home heading back west, close to the border to head home to Canada, while Mary, TJ, and I were traveling through Kiev and onto the eastern side of the country for distribution near the conflict zone.
It was really hard because I knew that you were going to continue on towards the front, and we were like a year into our marriage, and it felt really scary, but it was also like I've never had to trust God like that, to know that no matter what happened, whether you came back or not, it was worth it. And that was a good experience, but it was also brutal and a little hard to focus on anything other than that you and Chad and Mary were still out there.
It was like 5 a.m. we heard the air sirens, and late last night also the air sirens, but we didn't hear explosions near us until about 9:05, I think it was, right, Mary? About that time, 9:15.
We had gone back to Chad and Mary's house, and TJ, Chad and Mary had gone on to Kiev to stay with their friends. And I remember waking up in the morning, walking downstairs, and someone being like, "Did you know that there was bombing in Kiev?" And then just all of us pouring over the news. And I texted, almost immediately I texted you like,
The center of Kiev was attacked last night. I was like, what? And I walked to the window and opened it and heard an explosion. And then we just I was kind of freaked out by that, of course, and went over to Chad and Mary and the family we were staying with, and we prayed and just kind of waited it out, because what else can you do?
We heard also the Iranian drone passing by, because they're very loud, like a motorcycle. But there had been, how many rockets it sent?
83.
About 83, and they're
43 have been,
43 just directly to Kiev.
I don't know, 43 have been
Or hit down.
down, but
Yeah.
40 made it to Ukraine territories.
But they're hitting a large amount of like infrastructure and civilian targets. So lots of the like water and city, even on the western side of Ukraine, is hit, and communications is down right now. So it is quite a large attack that Russia has done in a response to what happened on the Crimean Bridge.
So we went to a coffee shop that the family owned, spent some time there, and just eventually went to, whenever the sirens had stopped and everything had calmed down a little bit, as much as it can, we went to the center of Kiev where it was bombed, just to see what had happened, pretty much.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about before in the vehicle that there's been a long time since there's been a lot of attacks in the city, and people are just trying to go back to their normal lives. And then when you have things like this happening, it just again disrupts it, the realization that yeah, you're still very much in this war, even though people are trying to get back to their lives. Kids are trying to go back to school. And again, their schools are shut down for another week. It's still how real everything still is, that in an instant, those just walking your dog, walking your child across the street can be gone in an instant. So how does it make you feel? You're furious. Like this continues to happen across the entire country, not just here in Kiev. But it's disheartening. But the other side of it too, you see all the cleanup and the people working at trying to restore, and it's infuriating to see it, because it's so senseless. But yet it's the reality of the situation that people are living in here for the last 7 months.
Then we left. There were a lot of roadblocks, and highways were getting shut down, and we decided to keep going east and keep going towards our partners that we had planned to for the next day or two. We hadn't heard from some of them that whole day, and we eventually heard from them that evening because they were in a bomb shelter and had no reception down there the whole day.
The partner that we went to go see in Poltava, we had been working with for quite a few years already. They had a ministry pre-war that was doing a lot of evangelism, doing summer camps, distributions, but since the war, because there's been such a huge amount of refugees, and so they're serving them with providing food, with providing hygiene, with providing eyeglasses, and so that was our time that we spent in Poltava with that partner. Yeah, right now we're coming into Kharkiv, and we're basically going to be sleeping here tonight before we head out further out into is it Kupiansk?
Yeah,
The deoccupied territory. So we're going to be staying with in-laws that at their place. So this is our second time here, but as you can see, like, it's quite dark.
I think he doesn't know.
This is their place.
Is it?
Yes, I marked it on the map. Good job.
Nice to meet you.
Man, it's so good.
Over 1 million people returned or back in the city already. The mayor said. And we still have services.
Да, це, у нас тяжело йшло пение.
Не знаю, чи Сєвєродонецьк. А там артилерія, мабуть,
Да,
досягає.
там да.
І на криші прямо його. Так жалко.
То с Мариуполя ж писали там это.
Іван Християн Баптист. I didn't hear anything.
I didn't either.
There was 2 sirens. I was so tired, I was just out.
There was explosions last night too?
Well, it says there's explosion. I was siren at 2 some. I didn't hear a thing. Дуже вкусна каша.
Так.
Оце ця вівсяні пластівці.
And I thank you for the provisions of people who've given so selflessly back home in Canada,
Тобі за всіх людей, які жертвують так багато в Канаді.
that we can bring this
Що ми
food
можемо
to
привезти цю
people
їжу
who
людям,
have experienced some
які
extremely
пережили
difficult
важкі
times and
часи.
continue to experience difficult
Продовжують
times.
переживати.
In your name we pray.
В ім'я Твоє молимося.
Amen.
Passports?
Passport.
Says, до побачення.
What are we doing today, Chad?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
we're actually going to an area that had not really experienced war because they were taken
Now it
over. I know now it is, but during that time it had not experienced war because Russia came in so quickly and took over. But because Ukraine has been pushing Russia back, they're now in the middle of the 2 countries trying to regain that position. So that's where we're going today. It's been about a month that people have been under direct artillery attacks. So yeah, we're going there to provide food and care for people. Probably not going to be staying there too long, but then yeah, hoping to do our best with getting up there. But Yeah, this is a little bit more of a hot zone we're going to today.
Our tank.
Yeah.
Oh, it's working. Let's put it away. Get videotape from there.
Did you
This
guys
is
see?
insanity. Nice to meet you. We brief you. Said I nice to meet you. Oh my word, tanks are driving.
Are you guys able to give like a little recap of our trip to Kupiansk?
Go ahead.
Our trip to Kupiansk and further, I think it just showed me the level of desperation that people are still in. And I've never experienced that before. I've never seen that. I've seen levels of desperation, no question, but for people not to have anything and not clamoring, but just asking for anything to be provided for them. Yeah, these guys have been working on the front lines since pretty much the beginning, hey Mare?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He got a call from Kupiansk today that people are getting freezing already because it's really cold at night. If we can bring them petrol. So Jan, the other guy, has a container or whatever you would call it. Oh, they are evacuating people. Yeah, evacuation. Those that want to evacuate you guys. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Бабок стоит эта машина. Ой-ой-ой.
See this, Chad? Yeah. Logs holding the train bridge up.
I was afraid and I thought that's it. There were moments when I was saying goodbye to life. The highways were under Russians, and anybody who drove on them, yeah, you had to say goodbye to your life right there. And they knew that they found out the path and they were able to deliver.
Why were you so willing to take that risk?
А чого ви хотіли? Почему? Чого ти рішив, що ти готовий той риск робити?
Я сидел в подвале.
I was in a basement.
И так сильно било.
And the explosions were so heavy.
Что все двери.
All the doors were shaking in the basement. Bomb shelter.
Я понял, что я могу.
And I understood that I can be done living even in a basement.
Я помолился.
I prayed and I understood, well, if I'm gonna die, at least I'm gonna die by doing good.
Так иначе.
And that's how it started. I think you will never live through emotions like not on the holiday, not from being wealthy. Then the emotions that you experience helping somebody in such terrible need. You will never experience the same emotions by doing anything else. Call upon me and I will answer. He says that's his verse and that he knows by heart from Jeremiah 33:3 was one of my verses that I cling to. He says, we're gonna read it. All these roads that we're driving on right now and the villages that we're passing through, they're all deoccupied just in the recent weeks. It's so exciting. Woo! Go Ukraine, go! Beautiful. We're bringing aid to people that are still under a bit of a fire. And yeah, we're praying for protection, and we're excited to deliver. Yeah, the train bridge was hit. Thank you all for your prayers and for your support and for your financial support. On behalf of all that are going to be receiving these hampers, thank you. It's awesome to drive on these roads.
It is.
That a few weeks ago we're under Russian terror. So exciting. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
And thank you, Lord.
We're at in Pugya, 15K from the front line. Oil. Just add in more stuff.
Щоб допомагати один одному.
And even going to places that have been completely destroyed.
Навіть в такі місця ми їздили, де все
And you have somebody saying, hey, listen, I've got food for 4 days.
І ми кажемо, і люди даємо їжу, а вони кажуть, слухай, у мене є на 4 дні ще їда.
The next village over, they don't have
селі
anything.
каже, взагалі нічого немає, везіть туди.
How do you not get inspired by things like that?
Як ти можеш не бути, як кажуть, вдохновитися?
Or by people like yourself who are here, who have been here since the beginning to do what you
які
did.
з самого початку залишилися, щоб допомагати.
But you have this Goliath.
Але ви маєте оцього
neighbor.
Сусіда Голіаф, так сказати.
And I can't, like I've never been able to have like the bully on the playground, you know?
Я каже, ніколи не переносив оцього блатного на дитячій площадці, як вони називаються? Чуці, да, бандити.
Yeah, somebody who like
який, знаєш,
down some
на
people
дитячій
who are
площадці
weaker.
слабшого бере і гно бить.
Yeah, I can't handle it.
Я це ненавижу.
And the best way that we know how, because I don't have military training, is to fight this evil with good.
То, що я знаю, то я і використовую. Боротися. Do you speak English? Oh.
Yeah.
Where are you guys from? Hi.
Hey, I'm from Pennsylvania.
Nice. We're from Canada.
Oh, okay, gotcha. We have a Canadian with us as well. One of the nurses.
Do you stay here or do you just travel in and out?
We travel in and out. We're from Romania.
Oh,
that's where we're based.
Awesome.
Yeah, our base is in Romania.
So what did you bring?
Medicine.
Nice.
Oh, perfect.
We don't
Great
have
combo.
that. Awesome.
Yeah. So what organization are you guys with?
It's just called Hungry for Life.
Hungry
It's a
for
very
Life.
small one,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Another 15 kilometers. So we're going to deliver to people that just been freed.
You think you can smell them, hey?
I can smell them a little.
Are you getting stressed? Do you need to eat some more food?
Oh no.
You're good?
You're gonna have candies probably or something to celebrate.
How come your Wi-Fi is working? Your
It doesn't.
data.
I just have a map.
Oh, mine works. Well, we're going south.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, people started running towards the bus when we stopped, and I was distributing stuff at the other bus, and I think it was like 3 minutes or so, and I turned around to look at the bus that Chad was at, and I don't know where people came from. Like in those 3 minutes that I was looking a different direction, it was just a huge lineup, and people were pushing, and they were, reaching out for things, and it was so uncommon. We've done a lot of food distribution, but we never had it to this extent. Like, people were very, I don't know if the civil is the right word to say, but they would stay in the lineups. There was no shouting. There were no, like, we would just tell them everybody's gonna get the hamper or whatever that was that we were distributing, and people would just stand and wait for their turn. This was just so different.
People
desperately needing toilet paper. That might sound stupid, but that one rocked me because a simple thing like toilet paper, people were pleading for, just a roll of toilet paper, just to go and show what little people had. For hand soap, like these are things that are not, to me, that weren't that important. Candles, and the list, you know, goes on and on. It wasn't just the food, but it was just actually the day-to-day items that they didn't have. Seeing people cooking outside because there's no electricity, gas, and then to top it all off, to realize again that these people have not had communication because it's been cut off for all that time. And I think we had all talked about it, even as a team. That was, I mean, we've been around artillery and fighting, but this, to hear like machine guns going off, but even with that, it was like it didn't exist because of how desperate the people were around you, and you're just trying to get things to them. You didn't even hear those things until you like pause for a second, and then you're hearing it all around you.
So I walked around the back of the car while Chad and Mary were handing out supplies, and their nephew, which was our driver, was trying to take the tire off our van while we were on the front line, pretty much. It's our tire. Like the tire's pretty much toast. It was, you could see down to the wires in the tire. But he couldn't get it off, so we eventually, after we're done dropping supplies off, we went to a random house that our partners knew and found tools and swapped the tire out there with a spare one that was also there that happened to fit our van. And then we got back on the road.
Я понимаю.
Храни вас Господь.
Да ничего уже. Типа следят. Ничего себе, это серьезно. Знаю уже это.
Oh man, it was something else.
That was crazy.
It was unbelievable. I was just seriously standing by the rat van giving out toothpaste.
Yeah.
No, I was giving toothbrushes and he was giving toothpaste because that's all we had left.
But the things they were asking for, like, and really needing
Toilet paper.
they needed so bad.
Oh my word, haven't seen toilet paper. Oh my God. One lady was like, "You will never come back now that you see how wild we are." I said, no.
Yeah, she was apologizing. She must have been the same lady. She came, "Oh, I'm sorry for how we were," and I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Like,
I said, "Of course we will come. We just don't know when." I said, "That's okay." Yeah. She just kept apologizing. We're so wild, she says. I'm thinking, you are wild.
yeah.
Go give in other countries something for free. See the lineup.
I think one of the hardest parts for me was watching kind of the desperation of people as they came for supplies, and then when the time came to actually close the doors of the vans as we were out of supplies. I think just the act of closing the doors felt very final to me, and it just kind of hit me. And I talked to Chad and Mary about it later, and we're like, this isn't the last time. Like, maybe you won't be coming back, but our partners will, and we will. And I think that kind of cemented in for me how it is to work at Hungry for Life. That us here at Hungry for Life are just a support for the actual, not the actual work that's going on, but like the work that's going on around the world. Like, yeah, we may leave, but our partners are still going each and every day. And even though you go once and like you go for a couple days and you see your partner stop or like out of supplies and closing the doors, that doesn't mean they're going to not come back tomorrow. You see such a small snippet of their life. So it was a good reminder that, yeah, we're here to support, and I'm not called to do the actual work of that. I'm called to film and to help support them in that way.
It is so inspiring to see the people that have chosen to stay. They could leave or could move to a different part of the country where it's very safe, and they have chosen to serve. And many of them are working in churches and through churches. Some are pastors, some were just lay people in the church before the war broke out. And their determination to stay and serve and help at severe cost to themselves, to their mental health, their physical health, is absolutely inspiring. And the determination of the Ukrainian people is something that as a Canadian, I don't understand. I've grown up in peace, and to hear people say, you know, they would rather die than be taken over by that regime is really impactful.
I just remembered we were on, I don't know which street it was on, but a lady took you aside and took you to her house.
Yes. Yeah, I don't remember what street that was either. But yeah, that was the gal that took me into her house and showed me the holes in her ceiling, and that water was still coming in and dripping on her furniture and her bed. And yet we go outside and she picks apples off her tree and gives them to us to take back for the team. And even though the need was so great, yeah, just kindness and generosity.
Нас даже если бомбят, мы не реагируем. Мы, если мне надо кого-то проведывать, мы даже вот на улице идем спокойно. И даже если Милана одна едет и где-то там
Even if
плохо,
Milana herself is just biking to the whoever, she just keeps doing like praying to the Lord, and I tell Lord that your children and
помолимся, и она едет.
Make her trip safe there and back.
И тут далековато. Она едет.
I just heard that you help bring food to people. How do you get it to them?
На велосипеде.
I take my bike.
Oh.
Да? Не боишься?
How far do you have to go on your bike?
Ну, я еду отсюда, могу до
I go
севера
from
там
here
доехать.
till the...
Ну, я за полчаса доеду.
How come you're going so far on your bike?
А бабушка живет.
Ну, бабушка там живет, я же должна как-то ее проведать.
Yeah, she can't come here to get it?
Нет, она не может. У нее с ногами проблема.
Она и не дойдет.
Так що ти велика помощниця, да, для своєї бабушки.
Вот дома капризничает по дому, что-то
At home,
помогает.
if I ask her to do something,
А
she
туда
complains.
заходит,
But
все
as soon as we go to
убирает,
these granny's places, she
намывает
cleans
все.
right away, wipes it all.
Бабушки такие, некоторые уже и запахом бывает, она их вот так
She
обнимает,
hugs them, doesn't matter if they smell a little,
всех
she
любит.
kisses everybody, loves on them. And 2 already died in her arms. 2 бабушкас.
А я их наоборот отправила в санаторий, когда мы туда ходили, там же и ночевать было надо.
Я их отправила, и они были целый месяц в санатории. А потом же начала с ними. Она ее с первого раза, как увидела, она сразу в корне бабушка изменилась. Сразу же.
Молодец.
Тяжелая уже такая, и самой тяжело после этого.
There's no people.
You know, where you don't think people can be that effective, and somebody like a child is used to actually reach through to somebody who has such a hard time, who never felt love, but God uses them. That's why it's like God only wants us to have our hand open, and He'll use it for what He needs to use it for. That child, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know, the churches are just packed on Sunday mornings now. People are desperate. You know, when you live your life without hope, you're searching, you're seeking. You know, where's hope in life, right? And they're finding it in Jesus and finding it in God, and so therefore the churches are now, you know, full to capacity. You know, 80% or more of the congregation is brand new, never been into the building before, and all of a sudden now they're there. So people are really searching for hope, and you know, God is there, obviously providing that for them.
I loved your question. Why take such risks? Is helping worth it? And when I think about sending the staff there, sending Chad and Mary there, going, Heidi going, even Abby going, like, I think because we've built so many friendships there over all these years, they're friends, they're family, they're not just beneficiaries or project recipients, they're people we know and love, that we've visited often for the last 20 years. And a thought that keeps coming back to my mind about the risk and is it worth it is, and really it applies to all of our projects around the world, and that's the idea that our lives are not more important than theirs. Like, why go there? It's so risky. Why don't you just send the money? Why don't you just give the money to another organization? And I've heard from so many of our partners around the world, we want relationship with you. We don't just want the money. So why should my life be safer? And we say we're with you over an email or a text message, but we're here. We're not really with them. And so what's been important to me throughout this whole thing has been to be with them. I remember when I had to go to the hospital, I wanted, like, Heidi to just be with me. Or she didn't have the skills to do what the doctors did. They're the ones that I needed with their skills, but I wanted somebody that I knew to be with me. And that's been a huge theme for me in all the risks that we've taken. And organizations are told our insurance policies are null and void in situations like this. It goes against a lot of relief and development best practice. I know that. I know the issues. I know the concerns. I know the risks to a degree. But we have a choice, they don't. And that doesn't feel right to me. And of course we have a choice. We have a passport that we can get on a plane and we can leave. But at least we can be with them at times to show them we're with them. They're not alone. Against this massive challenge, they're not alone.
Бог нам допомагає, Бог своїх дітей любить, благословляє. І слава Богу, що у нас іще прекрасна погода, нема війни. Ну, ми не знаємо, що буде до кінця. Але надіємось на Господа і молимось, слава Богу, за Його любов, милість, за те, що Він нас любить. і благословляє всім, що нам потрібно. Дякую за тебе, Тетяна. Я тебе люблю.
So, this is what we do with their pain. It's what we do with our questions burning. We put a drop in the bucket. So, this is what we do when we don't comprehend this senseless hurting. We put a drop in the bucket. While we are gathered here, people there are filled with hope. It's in the air, a better day is coming soon.